Hey Laura, have you ever heard of placenta pills?
Oh yeah, pills made from a mother's placenta.
Really? Ugh. Yikes. Well, hello again. I'm Mark Huffman in the United States.
And I'm Laura McKeever in the United Kingdom, and this is RX411, your prescription for health.
With science-based health news and information from both sides of the Atlantic, direct from RX411.com. And today we're going to talk about a health fad. A fad a lot like those placenta pills that are supposed to have a lot of benefits. But the thing about health fads, the thing they all have in common, there's very little research or data to support them.
Yes, and while the popular notion is that the fad is beneficial, the opposite could also be true because, well, we just don't know.
And that brings to mind something you mentioned earlier, Laura, something called free birthing, which I guess has to do with delivering babies. What exactly is it?
A free birthing is something that I mentioned on the RX411 blog a short while ago, and while it has a lot to do with delivering babies and giving birth, it also involves having no medical interventions whatsoever throughout the pregnancy. So rather than seeing a doctor and, having blood tests, ultrasounds, and a, safe delivery with medical guidance, the mother will reject all medical interventions completely and will give birth alone or with her partner there. So unlike a home birth, there's no midwife, there's no doula. It's just mum, dad, baby.
Sounds like the way women had babies back in the 1700s or earlier. So that doesn't sound exactly appealing. So what is the appeal? Why would a woman choose this over traditional hospital delivery?
Well, to me, it doesn't sound appealing either, because I'm, obviously very science focused and all about medicine. But the way that free birthing is positioned and pitched is that it is a woman's personal choice. So people either rightly or wrongly see hospital deliveries as being paternalistic and as women having no choice in what happens at all. I'd like to argue that that's not true. And so they say that free birthing is empowering and it's the only way for them to have control over their pregnancy and delivery, and that as a result, they will experience a harmonious birth where nothing goes wrong.
Well, things do go wrong, I would think. How safe is this? And it seems like there could be some risks involved in this, are there?
It is incredibly unsafe. And I struggle to see why people, especially, I'm not saying that these people are unintelligent in any way, but why anybody who's entirely rational would see it as being safe. Statistically, I think at present, 803 women per day die from, pregnancy or childbirth causes. And these are women in developing nations who haven't had any medical interventions, but that's not through choice, it's through circumstance. They too are encouraged to believe in the power of their bodies. They too are encouraged to see birth as being, an experience that they can control because they're apparently designed to be able to do that. But actually, if they don't have the right screening, they may miss preeclampsia. That's a condition where your blood pressure becomes dangerously high. Both mum and baby can die. There's also an incredibly high risk of, hemorrhage, either from having too many babies or iron deficiency anemia that's not gone detected, and also obstructed birth. And one of the biggest risks, infection. So the mum can develop an infection, and also the baby can develop an infection. So it's not just the risk to the mum. It raises the infant mortality rate quite significantly as well. And in countries where midwives have been introduced, even in the developing world, the maternal and infant mortality rate just shoots right down. So I struggle to see why women would choose to do this, by choice, not because they're forced to do it.
And it may explain why 200 or 300 years ago, when I guess free birthing was sort of the common way, the population didn't grow that fast. There was a lot of infant mortality. And
yeah, absolutely. I mean, not only did they not have the tests back then, but they also didn't have that spare set of eyes that can spot when things are going wrong, and where interventions do need to be introduced. And interestingly, a study in the 1950s, so around 20 years after antibiotics started to become quite popular and obstetrics was advancing, it demonstrated that there was almost like a decade on decade maternal mortality rate decline that was, sort of starting to take people from around 1 in 3 women dying to, almost like less than 2 or 3%.
It seems like every generation has some new fad surrounding childbirth, like having the father in the delivery room instead of in the waiting room handing out cigars. And that one sort of stuck around. It's become the norm now.
Yeah, and there's research that concludes that that's probably beneficial. As for those placenta pills and free birthing, the jury's still out on that one.
And this reminder, for all the latest science-based health news and information, your one-stop source is your prescription for health, RX411.com. That'll do it for us. Until next time, I'm Mark Huffman.
And I'm Laura McKeever, reminding you to discuss free birthing or any other health fad you're considering with your doctor before trying it.
So long, everybody.